Keep your eyes open. Hello and welcome. You are here today with us for Insight Interview, and we're happy to welcome our guest, Leah Finlay. And Insight Interview is all about honoring women in their profession and their passion. And welcome to Vibrational Change from Victim to Victor. And I am the host, Tracy Lynn Cox, and today I'm happy to have our guest from Ontario, Canada, Leah Finlay. She is experienced in the digestion system and brings over 20 years of experience for us to understand better how we are connected in our digestion and our health. And with that, I want to bring Leah into our discussion and have her tell us more about herself and how she got into this passion about digestion, because it's such an interesting discussion. Leah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very, very much, Tracy. I'm very, very happy to be here. And what got me into this is what you wanted to know?
Yes.
Okay.
Please tell us.
Okay. First of all, going back, it all goes back to the father of modern medicine, Hippocrates, when he said, all disease begins in the gut. Now, when you look at modern medicine today, they really do treat symptoms, and they don't use a lot of foods anymore, and medicines and surgeries and stuff seem to be the norm. And that is not what Hippocrates was about. And I'm not going to go into GMOs and lifestyles and agriculture, because that's a whole other different topic. But basically, people can have seemingly healthy lifestyles and still have digestive issues and not know what to do about them. And I don't mean just things like heartburn and gas and bloating and serious issues that turn into things like labeled like diverticulitis, colitis, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, these very serious issues. But I'm talking about things that wouldn't even, maybe you wouldn't think that they're digestive issues. Things like skin disorders, maybe psoriasis, painful psoriasis and eczema, or poor sleep or poor energy, fatigue, and other things, even the enamel on your teeth. That's one of the symptoms of celiac disease, is people are losing the enamel on their teeth. If you can imagine, what has that got to do with digestion, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I'm really fascinated, because you've just hit on several what I would consider like just really deep subjects, because what I hear as a coach, being in health and wellness coaching, I have people who come to me that have several of those issues, not all in one situation, but
hopefully not.
Who comes to me and says, I am suffering with this particular issue. And so it seems to be, we're talking about something that is maybe more commonplace than what one might believe to be the case. So we're talking about today we're talking about Simple Digestion Solutions, which is the name of your company, Simple Digestion Issues. And my question for you is this something that's, in the headlines everywhere? We see it all the time. I'm having people come to me. You're having people come to you. Is this something new, or are we just noticing it more?
And that's a very good question, because it's not new, and people don't link their symptoms to digestion in the gut so much. But what is new is, look at mass media today, and you're hearing things like leaky gut, intestinal permeability. You're hearing these words that we didn't hear a while back. So maybe we're giving them new names. It all boils back to 2,000 years ago, when Hippocrates said what he said.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That's really, really interesting. And so it's more on the news, and it's showing us that we are experiencing actually not necessarily more of it, but that it's becoming more talked about,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not such a under the rug, not dealt with conversation. Now it's able to have words to it, and it's able to be discussed.
And that's a really good point about able to be discussed, because even today, modern day, I mean, let's face it, I talk poop with my clients. So I don't know what you're like, but a lot of people are not raised that way. So even today, some people shy away from getting down to the nitty gritty. And when you talk to me, we're family now, because once you talk about topics like that, I mean, you pretty much can talk about anything. So let's face it, people are talking about things that they never used to be comfortable with, right?
Yeah, that's so true. I know that even I'm a caregiver for my father, and he comes and talks to me about his issues, and it it I know it's just very humbling for people, and it's a very vulnerable position for people to put it out there and say, I'm having these problems with my bowels. And at one point, I think in time, we only discussed that maybe with our doctor, and maybe only with the same gender physician. And nowadays, we're now in a caregiving world where we're talking about it with another gender, with family members, with coaches, and with people who are able to help us and guide us in a way that we can have better improved lifestyles and health.
Exactly. Let's talk about it, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's really, really good. Now, you have put it out there to us that, or about to put it out there to us, that everything is connected to our gut and our digestion. And I want you to tell us more about that, because in my belief system, that is so right on. And
Okay, good.
I want you to explain to me and to the person watching us what you mean by that.
Okay, so think of your digestion as the other outside of you. Okay, so what's going through you is there's a barrier in there. And there's four stages to digestion. There's what you're ingesting, what you're digesting, what you're absorbing or assimilating, and what you're eliminating. And all four of those have to be working properly. And that's what I help you with is you've probably heard one man's food is another man's bitter poison.
Ooh.
So you could be sensitive to something that you're consuming on a regular basis and it's causing a lot of problems. And are your foods breaking down and are they getting absorbed? And are you getting rid of the waste? Because that's going to cause problems. And I know this because of my own experience. I was practically born with digestive issues, not knowing they were digestive issues. And I struggled with these issues growing up, and my mother took me to doctors and naturopaths and homeopaths and specialists and energy workers and you name it. And, I would go in with a list of symptoms from being doubled over on the couch in pain and migraine headaches and bloating and constipation and rashes and joint pain. And actually it actually was a lot like a chronic pain, chronic fatigue type of a problem. The list was a mile long. And I would go to a doctor or one of these workers and I'd be very hopeful and I'd leave very deflated because I wasn't going to take that antidepressants or some crazy thing that they were going to offer me because I looked at the list of side effects on there too. No, thank you.
Right.
But see, what happened was, and this was really important, I gave up. And I was told, go home, live with the pain, embrace it, make it your friend. Really? So I really did give up. And, I ran into somebody that told me about a method and I decided to give this a try. I'm so glad I did. because this practitioner did look at me. He did an analysis, and he actually found out what was the root cause for my issues. And he told me exactly what foods I needed to avoid for a while and what I needed to do he created a custom program for me to clean up, to repair, to rebalance. And I got better and better and better. And then he just gave me a maintenance program. And here we are. It's 20 years later, and it's just amazing that those 3 very short, simple steps were just a miracle to me. And, I took the training. I had to know, what did he see? How did he know what to do? So I took the training just out of curiosity. And it was actually, I had a sales job that I really, really loved. And now I really was good at, because I also wasn't pulling over, taking a pill and trying to get rid of a migraine. So I was doing much better. I loved it. And I was traveling all over the place in sales. It was really fun. But a customer and his wife, actually, we had a really good conversation. I helped them get their health back. And it was when he said to me, wait a minute, knowing what you know, don't you feel obligated? Right then and there I did. So that's when I had to help others. It became more important to me overnight to help others.
It's a very personal story. And I do relate to that. So you're talking about what we take in, what we absorb, what we assimilate, and then what we eliminate. And being an athlete, having been an athlete, I really understand that, it's really fuel for your body. And if you're not really absorbing it correctly, then you're not going to have the fuel that you need to perform. And that's how I relate to food and the intake of it. And for me, my personal story is that in my 20s, I was not selecting the proper fuel, and therefore eating fast foods and eating processed foods, fueling my body, wasn't doing what it is that I needed to perform, and I wasn't absorbing the B's and the folic acid. And it wasn't until actually not too long ago, probably the past 5 years, that I actually started on B12 shots and folic acid, and have gotten my body into what it is that I need. And it is a huge difference. So the ingestion, the assimilation, and the elimination, it is really important. So I'd like to have us talk about the real secret now that you want to share with us about healthy digestive system, the healthy digestive system. What is that?
Well, it really is exactly like I mentioned about those 4 stages. And I always like to use restoring an old car, as an analogy, because you can't do the paint job first and then start, scraping the gasket off the motor and wrecking things as you're trying to fix things. If something doesn't work, you need to identify what is it that's not working, what's broken or not functioning well. And you need to figure out, you need to clean it up and replace it. I like to use a motor, because if it's got a leaky gasket, it's not going to be running properly. So you need to scrape that old gasket off before you can put the new one on and get a proper seal. And so really that's what you're doing. You're identifying the root cause of the issue, and you're cleaning it up and you're repairing it, and then you're maintaining that balance. And that's really, I'm not comparing us to an old car, but we're much more complicated than that for sure. But it's not a blanket approach. Everyone is different. Like you were saying, as being an athlete needs a lot of different micro and macronutrients than a sedentary person by far. So it's respecting everybody's individual lifestyles and choices. Some people are vegan and vegetarian and good old meat and potatoes. So you got to respect a lot about it and still figure out those key elements about what they need to do to identify, clean and repair and rebalance for harm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes, I do agree because it is, everything is a personal story. Now, how do I sort out my personal issues? Not me as the moderator of this program, but the person who is watching you as our guest speaking about the digestion system. How does that person sort out his or her personal issues?
You know, that's a really good question, because what we tend to do is we tend to listen to our friends and our relatives, and this worked for them, and try this and try that. It's human, and it's expensive, and it can be very let down. And you can say things like, well, that doesn't work, and the fact is it probably works great for some people.
Yeah, you can be going this way and that way, and
Exactly. So what I would have two really key pieces of advice, and that would be stop guessing. You know, don't do this, do that, try this, try that.
mhm.
Really find out what you as an individual needs to do. It's not one size fits all. It's not a blanket approach. It's what person is individually unique. And the second piece, besides stop guessing, is don't wait. When you wait and these simple symptoms snowball into something more serious, do you really want the side effects that come with medicines? And I'm talking, look at how an antidepressant causes depression and suicidal tendencies.
Mhm.
You know, some of the meds for, let's say, colitis, for example, there's a immune suppressant drug that are often prescribed, and they cause uncontrollable shaking and dizziness and teeth. You have to have a good relationship with your dentist. It's like really bad stuff going on in there. So the medicine and what comes, and what else are you taking down? Notice how they say, you know, watch out for your liver and get this checked and your kidneys. Come on. So I don't think you want that. And the second thing they recommend is surgery, and to get cut open and have a section of intestine removed or other parts removed, your gallbladder or your appendix. I mean, I don't have spare parts. You can't have my spare parts.
Well, allopathic medicine has two approaches, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it really, they have two approaches. It's medicine that you take, or it's surgery.
And, you know, and I'm happy we have them. Let's face it. I mean, if something really needed to be addressed, I am for that. It's just, let's get this cleaned up and rebalanced before it gets that far. That's why I say don't wait.
Yes, and what you're saying is pay attention to the symptoms before it progresses to the medicine and the surgery. So in doing that, share with me, what symptoms do I look for?
Well, I did name a bunch of them, and unfortunately, it doesn't always have to be with digestion. So with digestion, it could be the bloating and the heartburn, the gas, the constipation, the loose urgency. Those are pretty common digestive symptoms, but then you could be labeled too with something like irritable bowel syndrome or colitis or diverticulitis. I mean, there's such a long list of them. But more so before that, if you're suffering from anything, like I mentioned, skin, sleep, vision, it is absolutely endless. The fact is, if something is zapping you, if something's making you self-conscious or worried, concerned, what is this? Where is it going to lead to? Am I going to need meds for this? Am I going to need surgery for this? Are you worried about getting cancer? If any of this stuff is playing on you, pay attention to your body. The Shote practitioner that I am, what we do is we look at signs on the body, and basically we believe, listen to your body. It has the answers. We just know how to ask the right questions.
Okay, I think that is a great point, that it doesn't necessarily manifest just in your gut.
Mhm.
Sometimes it will manifest in your skin, and other times it will manifest in an emotional way that then becomes a heavier condition into your physical body. And so that is really, you're talking to me very well, because I really do believe that things are happening mentally, emotionally, and then physically. And it just in that order becomes heavier and denser and then more profound once it becomes physical. And you, as a practitioner, Leah, you're speaking the same language and saying when you're seeing symptoms at any one of these intersections, pay attention and do something about it. Call on a holistic practitioner that is able to address it. And you are able to address the individual that is showing any of these signs or symptoms. And even though you do not treat, I think, or diagnose,
No.
you do talk with people, and you are a practitioner, and you have special tools, special techniques that you use. And this is the way here that you, as a person, are able to get in touch with Leah. It is http://bit.ly/talk with Leah. And you can get on Leah's calendar and have tell us about it, Leah.
Well, that's where it really all starts, is let's just have a conversation. You know, we talked at the beginning about it can be tough to discuss these things with a spouse or even a practitioner. It's easy to talk to me because I talk about this stuff all the time. And I just want to share this. I do not require you to disrobe. I don't require expensive lab work and messing with stool samples and saliva samples and blood tests and all this. That is just not necessary. I will have a discussion with you. The analysis is very ininvasive. It's easy peasy. The program I set up, a 90-day program, is easy. That's why I call it simple digestion solutions, because it really is. It's a complicated system with some very simple answers and solutions that you just add to your day and watch things change. People actually find results, relief within a week, and then long-term solutions. So it's just a thing of the past. And I just love how you can just fall in love with your life again.
So again, to get on Leah's calendar to have a discussion with her at no cost.
That's what the free gift is for everybody watching, is I'm waiving the $197 and offering a free chat with me. Discovery.
Yes, I think that's awesome, Leah. We so appreciate it. It's http ://bit.ly/talk with Leah. Now, one final word of advice, Leah.
I really can't stress that I know what it's like. I've been there. You do not have to go through this alone. I am here to help you.
I think that's great. There's nothing better than having that trust in an individual who has had the experience and has been there. Because then when you're speaking with you, Leah, I know that you really do empathize and have compassion for what it is that I am going through. And that is such a great connection that you have with me as your client. And I really believe that that is such a gift that you give to each person who comes to see you. And I understand that being located in Ontario, that you meet with people through Zoom.
Yeah, I love technology. I love technology. I call it my virtual office. So it's amazing how we can get in front of each other and not have to leave our homes and have a really good conversation.
Right. And if you happen to live where Leah lives, that's great too. So Leah has an office in her area where she lives, but she also sees people nationwide and countrywide. So
Actually, global. I go global.
global. So I'd like to put up her website information, which is simpledigestionsolutions.com. Simpledigestionsolutions.com.
Yeah, you can always find me there too. I'll honor this gift to anybody finding me there or emailing me, Leah at Simple Digestion Solutions. I just want to help.
I think that is really honorable. I think it's great. People that are in the healing profession are just special light workers. And I honor you, Leah, and I so appreciate you being with us here today at Vibrational Change from Victim to Victor. And may everyone be a victor in their life. God bless you, Leah.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
God bless each person who has been with us today. May you have a glorious life.
Thank you so much, Tracy.
Thank you, Leah.